Tired of games of the year and 100-unit locks? If so, check out the professional handicappers at WagerTalk.com today. We leave all that nonsense for the other guys. And for a limited time, new users get their first daily picks purchased up to $40 for only $1. $1? Whose idea was that? Johnny Detroit? I guess so. To redeem this special, just go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper and their picks package using coupon code TRYWagerTalk when checking out.
Welcome into First Pitch for Wednesday, April 28th. I am Drew Martin, your host, joined by Tony Mejia and Tony Finn of WagerTalk.com. We got double Tonys on today's show. Breaking down 4 games, best bets at the end, guys. Tony Mejia, first time on First Pitch this year, man. Welcome in. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here, brother. Doing really well in baseball, which is a surprise considering my first week was awful. But I think I'm at like an 8-3 run, something like that. We're doing well. Baseball is interesting because it all comes down to bullpen. So if you have to bet something, you probably want to bet it first 5 innings, and it is what it is. But yeah, absolutely. Love the game. It's my favorite sport growing up, and so lifelong Yankee fan. I was there when Dave LaPointe and Andy Hawkins were our aces. So there you go.
All right. He's on Twitter at Mejia Dinero. Dinero is Spanish for money. So check him out on Twitter as well as WagerTalk.com. We got Tony Finn as well. Always happy to have you, Tony. Welcome in, buddy.
Oh, thank you. It's the warm welcome I get from everyone here on this production, on this backstage crew. Wonderful. Just warms me all over. Baseball, pretty pedestrian from start to today, but it's a long season, and my history with baseball has been pretty good. I love the sport, as Tony mentioned, and if we had about 20 minutes, I'd do my story of baseball and how it influenced my life. Look where I am. Good influence, right? Good to be
Top
here
of
with
the
you,
world.
Drew.
Top of the world, Tony Finn, on his way from Tijuana to Las Vegas. He's bet the Mexican Baseball League. He's betting the MLB, and hopefully finding us some winners on today's card, guys. So we're going to break down 4 games on tonight's slate. We got best bets at the end. First, starting off here, the Chicago Cubs and the Atlanta Braves. We're heading to the ATL, 7:20 first pitch. This one on Fox Sports 1, nationally televised game here, Tony Mejia. Light wind, 80 degrees in the ATL, 8.5 being the total. Looks like the Braves minus 130 favorites here. Hendricks on the hill for the Cubs. You think there's a shot here for the dog, Mejia?
There is, bro. Look, I think at this point is one of those guys that you could possibly see become an ace caliber pitcher, but we haven't seen it yet. And obviously Kyle Hendricks has accomplished that in his career. So, from that standpoint, I think we got a live dog situation there. And then we have, look, Hendricks has been solid all season. He's 1-2, but he's been in games. You know what you're going to get from him. He's going to be a control pitcher where try to put the ball in play, and from that standpoint, with Acuna being 1 game removed from being out and in and out of the lineup, I think this is a decent spot for the Cubs to represent.
Sure. Good breakdown. Finn, we were talking about bullpens right in the intro here. Mejia was, and both of these bullpens have not been very good this year. Finn, what do you like in here, Cubs and Braves?
Well, Tony makes a good point. I think the dog is live here, live for several reasons, and that is neither bullpen have been great, and in truth, neither team has been consistent offensively. Hendricks, other than one disastrous, think about this. This is Hendricks. I get a lot of texts and a lot of comments and a lot of conversation about Hendricks and who he is, who he's going to be, and other than that start against Atlanta, where he just wasn't very good. It affected his, I think, what he gave up, 4 home runs in the first inning against the Braves, that one bad start. It affects your ERA. And surface numbers don't mean much to me, but they have an effect and an influence on the line and public and how they see it. Here, let's put it this way. Hendricks has a history, has a track history He's never going to wow anybody. You're not going to see him in fans in the stands saying, wow, look at that fastball. It's just not going to happen with Hendricks. On the other foot, Atlanta and Noah, he listen, he had a pretty good rough outing against the Cubs, but he's been pretty good other than that. He's just throwing 99. And he got his first hit, guys, of his major league career. And the exit velocity on his first hit was 103 or 105 miles an hour, which is harder than he throws. But this is a game where I don't have a good feel for. I mean, I'm not going to stick my foot out and get in front of either one of these teams or with my mortgage. But if I had a lean here, I would agree with Tony a little bit on the Cubs being a live dog.
All right, Finn, good breakdown, guys. And this one is actually my best bet, so we're going to revisit it at the end of the show. Second game up now, 8:05 Eastern, 5:05 Pacific first pitch. We got the LA Angels, Texas Rangers. We're seeing the Angels minus 120 favorites, 8.5 being the total here, Finn. We get Alex Cobb and Dane Dunning going for the Rangers. You know, Dunning, he was good, but last time out versus the Chicago White Sox, he was bombed. So it's almost like, which Dunning are we going to get, the good or the bad here, Finn? What are you liking here? Angels and Rangers tonight.
Well, this is my best bet. So I'll just go over it roughly and briefly. Rough meaning you got a rookie in Dunning. So what do you know? What do you know? You don't know much, really. You know, it's going to be different from outing to outing. And Joe Maddon was thrilled to get Cobb back. He mentioned in a presser that Cobb looked much more like the pitcher he had in Tampa Bay as opposed to the one that had been since he left Tampa Bay and Maddon left Tampa Bay. So in this one, first thing I'll say is this. I like the Angels. I like Cobb. I like what he's done. I trust Maddon. We'll go over it more depth in my best bet.
Okay, Mejia, what are you thinking tonight in the AL West?
I mean, like, look, I don't have this as a best bet, but this is one of those games that obviously comes into your frame of where you want to go as a lock. Like it's the Angels with Alex Cobb against a guy in Dane Dunning who comes off his worst start against a team that like really rocked him, and it becomes this is something that you're kind of guaranteeing to finish up parlays like. And even in history wise, you've got Joey Gallo has hit against Dunning, against Cobb. So maybe over, but for the most part, I think you're really riding with the Angels getting to Dunning early, getting to their bullpen, and doing damage and winning this game.
All right, Mejia, guys, and a little something on this game. We got the Angels and Rangers here, both top 10 versus righties on the year, plus the fact both of them are bottom 10 in my bullpen ratings. That's what makes me look towards the over. It opened 8.5. Most of those have been taken out. Now we're seeing 9s. But if you're needing a lean from me, I would go for the Angels and Rangers over the total of 9. Third game up here, guys, heading to the AL Central. Coming back to you, Mejia. We got the Detroit Tigers and Chicago White Sox. Mize versus Rodon. Good pitching matchup here, although Mize has been banged around in his last 2 starts. We're seeing a total of 8 at most shops right now and minus 200 favorites, up to as high as minus 220 here on the Sox. What are you thinking here in Chicago tonight?
Well, I mean, Rodon has obviously been tremendous. He's got the no-no. He's got an 0.47 ERA. He's won all 3 decisions, and nobody on the Tigers has been able to touch him over his career. So, from that standpoint, that makes that easy. It's just a matter of, do you trust that offense to get things going? The most ill-timed name in baseball is Aaron Bummer, because you've got a guy in the 7th or 8th inning, and you see him, and he's a decent reliever, but like anytime he gives up runs, oh, that's a bummer. It's Aaron Bummer. So hopefully he doesn't strike tonight. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can go anywhere here except for the Chicago White Sox to beat the Tigers by multiple runs at home.
Finn, we got to watch out for Bummer tonight. What are you thinking tonight in Chicago?
Well, I think it's a pretty good assessment. both pitchers. First off, Mize is one of the top prospects. It speaks to the Tigers' farm system and their pitching, unfortunately for Tiger fans. I mean, Mize pitched a 7 scoreless in his best start this year, career April 12th against Houston. Since then, a couple of starts that I think offer evidence of who you're going to get with Mize until he gets a little more experienced, a little more savvy as far as secondary pitches, et cetera, et cetera. He went 4.2, 600 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, and 1 strikeout against the Royals in his last start. His strikeout rate is still, it's below average. It's always going to be below average, 19%. His swinging strike rate, 8%. It doesn't suggest that there's going to be any improvement in that container anytime soon. His calling and his 15 minutes of every game is his ground ball rate, 57% ground ball rate, which, again, I'll speak to it. I'll say it. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times, and that is that in this environment, in this atmosphere of Major League Baseball, batted ball luck is not a good way to make a living. And if you don't miss bats, you're never going to be elite. So what you get with Mize is you're subject to that batted ball luck. Listen, 283 BABIP right now, 90% left on base. It really helped kind of explain his quick start and impressive start. But since then, it's more of what you're going to get with him. Rodon, what's there to say? Rodon has to be awful. He has to be absolutely awful tonight, not to at least bring his C game. So minus 200, I think the number's about right. Should be probably a little higher. And if you like laying the wood, this is your game.
Tony, let me ask you about Mize here, because a young guy, like you said, a top prospect, round 1 pick. I believe he was the first overall pick out of Auburn just a couple years ago for the Detroit Tigers. And he's had flashes of looking really good, but his last 2 starts, 11 earned runs in 9 innings. Is this something where you look for a young guy to kind of bounce back? Or is this something, man, he's had 2 bad starts in a row. I'm looking to fade him until he shows me he's doing better on the field?
I would rather have him facing the Rangers than the White Sox. When I'm looking for a bounce back start, when I'm looking for a bounce back start, typically there's certain teams that I think you're going to have favor against. Obviously, I don't. Maybe the Yankees are the team they should be facing. He should be facing right now. As bad as they're swinging the bats, Tony's favorite team, lifetime favorite team. But no, I don't really. I'm not one on revenge. I'm not looking for bounce backs. I don't believe a professional, maybe a rookie can more than a veteran, but I don't believe you just flip a switch. And don't you love that when people say, listen, this team they're in a must win? Well, if a team could flip a switch and win a must win, they wouldn't be in a must win situation. So bounce backs, it's all on the player. It helps to have a minor league lineup. And I don't think that's the Chicago White Sox. They can sure look like a minor league lineup, Drew, but I wouldn't bet on it.
All right, we got our Dow in the chat box right now saying could be some runs in the Tigers and White Sox tonight. I agree with you, Dow. I mean, Mize, like we talked about, he's trended in the wrong direction. And Rodon actually had 5 walks his last time out. The start after his no-hitter could be a fade opportunity there. Both offenses decent, way more so the White Sox lineup against righties, top 5, and the fact both of these bullpens, bottom 5 in baseball. I would look towards the over in this one as well. Mejia, we're heading to the nightcap here. 9:45 Eastern first pitch here. Last game that we're going to talk about. Last game on the board, the Colorado Rockies and the San Francisco Giants. We're seeing the Giants minus 150 home favorites. Total of 7 here as it's Marquez and Alex Wood going for the Giants. You liking anything tonight in the nightcap, Mejia?
Well, I mean, Alex Wood has been brilliant. So everybody that has been paying attention knows that. Look, at this point, there's value in Colorado, period. Because Alex Wood, you don't expect him to move to 3-0 and keep that ERA under 1. And Colorado has a decent lineup, but at the same time, Colorado goes on the road, so it's not exactly a great situation. They've got some guys that are swinging the bats well, but again, like Marquez, typically much better at home than he is on the road. This is a stay-away situation, but if you're going to play it, you got to play Colorado for the value.
Colorado as the underdog from Mejia. Finn, what are you thinking tonight in the nightcap?
Yeah, again, I think it's a good assessment by Tony. I think if you're looking for value, you would be on Colorado. I mean, Marquez is. This should speak to Colorado and their prospects for being making the postseason this year. What do you think? Marquez is their number one guy. He's their number one guy. And as Tony mentioned, he's been better at Colorado than he's been away from Colorado, which is an oxymoron as far as I'm concerned. I never understood that. It's not like he's some terrific 70% ground ball pitcher. In that case, listen, he did hold the Mets to 2 hits and 7 inning a complete game, a couple starts back. So what do we do here? San Francisco's been that team, guys. I didn't have these kind of expectations, this kind of start for San Fran. Yes, it's early and things happen in April that don't continue in May and June and July and August and September. But it's hard for me to basically jump on the back of Marquez and this Colorado team and Blackman, who, guys, is this real? Is this kind of start? Is this the downside of Blackman? A guy that really is the offense since they've made some trades. At least he's one of the key figures, one of the key two bats in that lineup. Colorado offers a value. I'm not jumping on him. I mean, Wood, his third start after coming off the IL late has been good. You know what you're going to get with him. You're going to get 7 innings, 3 runs allowed. Probably. Does San Francisco do more than that against Marquez? I say probably so. I would be on San Francisco. I think the price at $1.35 is not just fair. I think it's the way to go. Not a bunch of value to the San Francisco. However, that's where I would lean.
Yeah, Tony, I'm with you. I like the Giants too. I'm seeing them now at the Wager Talk odds screen no lower than -145, mostly -150 out there in the market price. That's what's keeping me off of it, say, being my best bet here. Alex Wood, the University of Georgia prospect, came out of the University of Georgia, and he's been good. 12 innings pitched, only 1 earned run, 1 walk on the season. Alex Wood's kind of a bet-on pitcher for me. He's had some good years there in Atlanta, going out to San Francisco, doing the same, and going up against the Colorado Rockies, not very good at all, Finn. And the Rockies, that bullpen, bottom 5 in MLB. I have them ranked as number 29 in baseball. Yeah. So later innings kind of favoring the Giants, as well as all of these games we've talked about, not very good bullpens, except for the Giants. I have them rated as number 10 in MLB in the later innings.
Yeah. Listen, and this is after the Giants gave away up. They listened to 2 years ago. I would have said, hey, one of the best bullpens in baseball. And then they kind of they had a fire sale last year before our 60-day sprint. But you're right. Listen, Marquez doesn't get enough credit. I should have said this, and that is, look, Marquez, he's not allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of his starts. He's been pretty good. I'm looking at his numbers right now. 6 innings, 7 last 2, only a total of 4 runs, 8 hits. He has walked. He still walks too many guys for a guy who pitches in Colorado and is playing in front of an offense that's not going to give him a bunch of runs. So to his defense, listen, he's been pretty good so far.
The one thing about Colorado, for a 480 slugging percentage, is 799 OPS against lefties. So, if you do want to hop on that upset, Alex Wood is overvalued here. There's no question about that. Like, we like him, but I don't know that he should be this heavy a favorite for what essentially is, if you put this in a neutral setting, a pick.
All right, Tony Mejia going with the dog maybe tonight in the nightcap, guys. We got best bets coming up, but first we want to share the Asian baseball quick pick from Tokyo Brandon. Guys, he does a 30-second clip each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on First Pitch. He used to be a scout in the Japanese Baseball League. He knows what he's talking about from a gambling perspective over there. So check it out. Tokyo Brandon, take it away.
Tokyo Brandon here with today's Japanese baseball quick pick. Did you know Yu Darvish and Shohei Ohtani both played for the same Japanese baseball team when they were in Japan? It was the Nippon Ham Fighters. And today, the Nippon Ham Fighters are going to Fukuoka to take on the SoftBank Hawks. The total on this, the early line's already out. It's 6.5. I think that's way too low. We have 1 potent lineup, 1 terrible bullpen, and 2 very shaky starters. We're going to go with the over 6.5 on the Nippon Ham Fighters versus the SoftBank Hawks. Good luck with your bets today, guys. I'll be back with more. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Tokyo Brandon. Guys, time for best bets. Let's head to Tony Mejia, WagerTalk.com, on Twitter at Mejia Dinero. Tony, where are you going for best bets tonight?
I am going very chalky for my debut on these best bets in baseball because I'm riding Jacob deGrom. And, why wouldn't you? He's ridiculous. So the fact that he was able to get himself some runs the other night, didn't wait for his stupid lineup to screw him again the way they did all the last season and the previous season. And there's a little bit of value in Nick Pivetta, who's 2-0. He's really shown up well for the Red Sox. Actually, Boston's, outside of JD Martinez and Devers, their offense has struggled. Their pitching has actually been their saving grace. And it's still a team that I don't expect to finish much higher than Baltimore in the AL East when all is said and done. So like the Yankees, like the Rays, and this Boston team seems down to me in terms of what I see from a talent perspective. But obviously JD Martinez changes a ton of there. I just like Jacob deGrom and his ability to, shut down this team, at home. It's a game where the Red Sox have been home for the last 10 or so days. So instant venue change, that type of thing. Give me deGrom and give me a run and a half, which is what you got to lay, unless you want to pay tons of juice with the Mets. So I think the Mets win by multiple runs against the Red Sox.
Guys, for my best bet, I am going to the 7:20 Eastern on FS1 nationally televised game here. The Chicago Cubs at the Atlanta Braves, 8.5 being the total. Cubs minus 130. Braves minus 130 as the favorite. But I'm going to the total over 8.5, minus 115 juice on that. Hendricks just faced the Atlanta Braves lineup on April 18th and gave up 7 earned runs in 4 innings, where going for the Braves. He faced this Cubs lineup and gave up 6 runs in 4 innings. So both of these starting pitchers kind of got bombed by the opposing lineup, plus the fact both bullpens bottom 5 in MLB. Keeping it simple here, guys, going with the over in the ATL, over 80 degrees as well. Should help the ball fly a little bit more. Over Cubs and Braves. Tony Finn, finish us off, buddy. Where are you going for best bets tonight?
We're going to go to New Arlington, or at least New Ranger Stadium. That arena, should I say. I don't think we got the perfect look at what this venue is going to be as far as whether it's going to be pitcher and hitter friendly. The wind tunnels that they had in old Arlington or previous Arlington didn't matter which way the wind's blowing. That tunnel and that stream would send the ball towards the outfield, and it carried well there. So, but we're going to go with the visiting team. The Angels haven't been great against Texas, at least the last couple of years, going back to the 60-game sprint of last year. Texas throws a rookie who hasn't looked great to the mound. The Angels have Mike Trout back in the lineup, who's hitting over 400, and hopefully he can stay healthy and have that kind of season. It's good for baseball when Mike Trout has a good season, and the Angels are playing well. You have a pitcher who had an 0.6 Dunning is ERA until the last start. Now he's a 3. People say, look at that terrific 3. Well, how did he get to 3? Cobb, according to Madden, looks more like the pitcher he had in Tampa Bay than he was in Baltimore. Definitely a good thing. And in this case, really, to a word, if you're going to trust managers, I trust both these managers to do what they say they're going to do. Cobb's going to get to go as long as he looks good, and Dunning isn't. They're going to be careful with Dunning. He's going to have 70, 75, 80 pitches at most. Madden, terrific in these situations. You can count on their lineup being patient, getting his pitch count up, because who had the worst ERA in baseball? Bullpen ERA in April. So far, we're still there, but that's been Texas. So this is really a simple game for me. While it looks like a trap, and while the price seems too fair, considering it's Angels against the Rangers team that's going to be right there at the bottom of every category in Major League Baseball this year, tonight we're going to stick with the obvious, and the obvious is those Los Angeles Angels, veteran Cobb over Dunning and the Rangers.
With Trout back in the lineup, I like it, Finn. Guys, best bet recap here. We get Braves Cubs over 8.5 from myself. We got Tony Finn on the Angels, -120, short favorites there. He just broke it down. Tony Mejia on the Mets in the run line, back in DeGrom there as the favorite. And Tokyo Brandon in the Hawks, over 6.5 out there. The SoftBank Hawks, that is, in the Asian baseball play of the day. So best of luck if you're tailing out there, guys. Well over 200 people watching live. We really appreciate you joining us. If you could smash the like button if you're liking the content, and if you're watching on replay, feel free to drop a line below in the comments on YouTube. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow like we are each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, breaking it down, same time, same place. So come back and join us. Best of luck with your bets until then. Thanks for tuning in.
With a WagerTalk one-day power pass, you receive every play from every betting consultant for one full day at the ridiculously discounted price of just $149. What's better than spending the day watching and following a great slate of games? Watching, following, and winning those games. Get every WagerTalk expert and every game they release for that day.